Act 2. The Hall, Briony Manor. Claire and Trevor seated on couch, center of stage. Enter Agatha, door left, passes behind them. All three dressed in sheet costume, with hood thrown back, no masks. Agatha. I say, Trevor, it's going splendidly. Exit Agatha, door right, back. Claire. You ask me, it's going to be as flat as can be. No one seems to want to dance, and cook is scared to death and has only sent us up half the amount of supper that we asked for. Trevor. There's enough to drink anyhow. I saw to that. I went down to the cellar myself. Claire. Yes. And the result will be that just when we want to be hurrying everyone off the premises, they'll be getting festive and reckless. And your august and awful mother will run up against half of them at the doorstep, or meet them in the drive. Enter door right back, veiled figure, who glides up to them. Hello. Who's this? Sybil unmasks and throws back hood. Oh, Sybil. I might have guessed. Sybil, seating herself armchair center of stage. I fled away from that tiresome Sparrowby person who keeps on pestering me to sit out with him. Claire, dear, do go and relieve Evelyn. She has played about 6 dances running. Claire. Oh, Evelyn would play all night without feeling tired. Rises. But one excuse is as good as another, I suppose. Walks towards door right. Sybil. I don't know what you mean. Exit Claire, door right back. Sybil. It's going awfully flat. Trevor, lighting cigarette. Oh, a frightful fizzle. I think everyone is a bit scared at what they're doing. Sybil. I know I am. There'll be fine fireworks tomorrow when Her Majesty gets to hear of it. Trevor. Fireworks? There'll be a full-sized earthquake. I think I shall go cub hunting if there's a meet within reasonable distance. Sybil. You won't find many of us here when you return. We shall be cleared out in a batch like Chinese coolies. Trevor, why on earth don't you marry and get rid of this one-woman rule at Briony? With all due respect, your mother is no joke. She's perfectly awful. Trevor. Oh, I suppose I shall marry somebody someday. But it's the choosing business that is so beastly complicated. Think of the millions and millions of nice women there are in the world, and then of the fact that one can only marry one of them. It makes marrying an awfully ticklish matter. It's like choosing which puppies you're going to keep out of a large litter. You can never be sure that you haven't drowned the wrong ones. Sybil. Oh, but if you go on those lines, you'll never marry anyone. You should just have a look around at the girls you personally know and like and make your choice from one of them. You'd soon find out whether she responded or not. I believe in grasping one's nettle. Trevor. But supposing there are half a dozen nettles and you don't know which to grasp. Sybil. Oh, come, we're getting on. Half a dozen is better than millions and millions. And there must always be someone whom you prefer out of the half dozen. There's Agatha, for instance. Of course she is your cousin, but that doesn't really matter. And in her way, she is not a bad sort. Trevor. She passed through the hall just before you came in. If I'm to ask her to marry me, I'd better go and do it now before I forget. Oh, don't go and propose to her just because I suggested it. You'd make me feel an awful matchmaker, and I should never forgive myself if it turned out wrong. Besides, I doubt very much if she'd make the sort of mistress you'd want for Briony. One has to think of so many things, hasn't one? Trevor. Precisely my standpoint. And if Agatha turned out a disappointment, I couldn't give her away to the gardener's boy like a unsatisfactory puppy. You see, it isn't so easy to grasp the nettle when you really come to do it. Oh well, Agatha doesn't exhaust the list. There's Claire, for instance. She's got some good points, don't you think? Trevor. You don't say so with much conviction. Sybil. I'm awfully good pals with Claire, but that doesn't prevent me from recognizing that she's got a rather queer temper at times. The things she says sometimes are simply hateful, and she's not a bit straightforward. I can tell you of little things she's done. Enter from door center veiled figure. Who on earth is this? Sparrowby throws off hood and mask and seats himself on small chair facing Sybil. Sparrowby. I've been following all sorts of figures about, thinking they were you, but I knew all the time they couldn't be you because I didn't feel the thrill when I was near them. I always feel the thrill when I'm near you. Sybil, viciously. I wish you never felt thrills then. Sparrowby. You're dreadfully unkind, Sybil. But I know you don't mean what you say. Sybil. Sorry you find my conversation meaningless. Sparrowby. Oh, I didn't mean that. We seem equally unfortunate in our meetings. Sparrowby. I say, Sybil, I wish you'd take me a little more seriously. Sybil. One would think you were an attack of measles. Enter Mrs. Volpe with Drummond, door left, both unhooded. She catches sight of trio and rushes up. To Sparrowby. Naughty man, you know you promised me the kitchen lances. Come along, hurry. Sparrowby, rising unwillingly. They're playing a waltz now. Mrs. Volpe. They're getting ready for the lances. Come on. Exeunt Mrs. Volpe, Sparrowby, and Drummond, door right back. Sybil. The Volpe woman is rather a brick at times. I say. Trevor. During Sparrowby dialogue, Trevor has fallen asleep, wakes hurriedly. I nearly went to sleep. Please excuse my manners. I was up awfully early this morning. Sybil. Well, do keep awake now. We're in the middle of a most interesting conversation. Trevor. Let's see, You were recommending to me to marry Claire Hennessy. Sybil. Oh, well, I don't think I went as far as that. Claire and I are first-rate pals, and I should awfully like to see her make a good marriage, but I'd be rather sorry for her husband all the same. If anything rubs her the wrong way, her temper goes queer at once, like milk and thunder time, and she simply says the most ill-natured things. Trevor. That's another ungraspable nettle, then. I told you it wasn't so jolly easy. But, Trevor, there are surely others. Only you're too lazy to think of them. Trevor. As to thinking of them, I'm not too lazy to do that. It's the further stages I'm deficient in. Of course I sympathize with your difficulty. I wish I could find you someone really nice, someone who would enter into all your pursuits and share your ambitions and be a genuine companion to you. I hate that sort. Do you? How funny. At least, I don't know, I think I rather agree with you. Some women make dreadful nuisances of themselves that way. Well, you don't give me much help in choosing you a wife. Trevor. What do you think of Mrs. Volpe? What? That woman with nasturtium-coloured hair and barmaid manners. Surely you're not attracted to her. Trevor. I didn't say I was. I asked you what you thought of her. Oh. As to that, not a bad sort in her way, I suppose. Some people call her a rough diamond. If it was my declaration, I should call her a defensive spade. But anyhow, she's married, so it doesn't come into our discussion. Trevor. I want to tell you something. Something that concerns you alone. Sybil. What is it? Your hair's coming down behind. Oh, bother. It's that horrid hood arrangement. I'll fly upstairs and put it right. Rises. I say, Trev, there's a much nicer sitting-out place on the landing, near that old carved press where the tiresome Sparrowby person won't find me. Come up in 2 minutes' time. There's a dear. Trevor. Righto. Sybil. Now don't go to sleep. Exit Sybil, up staircase left. Enter Agatha, door right back. Passes along back of stage. Agatha. Everything is going swimmingly. It's a huge success. Exit Agatha, door left back. Enter Renee, door center, in evening dress with smoking jacket, carrying bottle of wine, wine glass, some grapes, and peaches. Renee. Going rather flat, isn't it? Trevor. Frightful fizzle. I'm so sleepy myself I can only just keep my eyes open. Was up at the farm awfully early this morning. Renee. Some short-horn or bantam was going to have young ones, I suppose. In the country, animals are always having young ones. Passes the time away, I suppose. I know a lady in Warwickshire who runs a rabbit farm. She has musical boxes set up over the hutches. Trevor. Musical boxes? Yes, they play the wedding march from Lohengrin at decent intervals. I'm going to ask you an extremely personal question. If it has anything to do with spare shirt studs, Renee, who is delicately feeding himself while talking. Don't be silly. It hasn't. I want to know, are you happy? Trevor. Immensely. Renee, disappointedly. Are you? Why? One never has any definite reason for being happy. It's simply a temperamental accident in most cases. I've nothing to worry me, no money troubles, no responsibilities. Why should I be anything else but happy? You ought to marry, Trevor. You think that would improve matters? It would elevate you. Suffering is a great purifier. Trevor, you're not a very tempting advocate of matrimony. I don't recommend it except in desperate cases. Yours is distinctly a desperate case. You ought to marry, if only for your mother's sake. Trevor, my mother? I don't know that she is particularly anxious to see me mated just yet. Your mother is one of those proud, silent women who seldom indicate their wishes in actual words. My dear Renee, my mother may be proud, but where her wishes are concerned, she is not inclined to be silent. At any rate, an unmarried man of marriageable age is always a great anxiety. There's never any knowing what impossible person he may fix his fancy on. As old Lady Clotsam said to me the other day apropos of her eldest son, if Robert chooses a wife for himself, it's certain to be some demi-mondaine with the merest superficial resemblance to a lady. Whereas if I choose a wife for him, I should select someone who would at least be a lady, with a mere superficial resemblance of a demi-mondaine. Trevor. Poor Lady Clotsam. Her children are rather a trial to her, I imagine. Her youngest boy had to leave the country rather hurriedly, hadn't he? Yes, poor dear. He's on a ranch somewhere in the wilds of Mexico. Conscience makes cowboys of us all. Unfortunately, it's other people's consciences that give all the trouble. There ought to be a law compelling everyone to keep his conscience under proper control, like chimneys that have to consume their own smoke. And then Gladys, who was the most hopeful member of the family, went and married a colonial bishop. That really finished Lady Clotsam. And she said to me, I always class colonial bishops with folk songs and peasant industries and all those things that one comes across in drawing room meetings. I never expected to see them brought into one's family. This is what comes of letting young girls read Ibsen and Mrs. Humphrey Ward. An unearthly, long, drawn-out howl is heard. Trevor, sitting up. What on earth? Renee. Only the idiotic Drummond boy who pretends he's the hound of the Baskervilles. Enter Agatha, door left. Runs giggling across stage, pursued by Drummond in sheet with phantom hound mask on head. Exeunt both, door right back. Trevor, rising slowly. By Jove, I forgot I'd promised to go upstairs. Sybil will be fuming her head off. Renee. We can't get a rubber of bridge presently, can we? Trevor. Afraid not. The woman will be rather mad if we shirked dancing. Draws himself slowly together and lounges up staircase left. Exit. Enter Sparrowby, door right back. Sparrowby. Why aren't you rigged out like the rest of us, St. Gol? Takes Trevor's seat on couch. Renee. Well, for one thing, I'm in platonic mourning, having partially lost a mother, so it would hardly be the thing. And another reason is that the hood arrangement would ruffle one's hair so. Sparrowby. As if that mattered a bit. You're absurdly particular about your appearance and your clothes and how your tie is tied in about your hair. Look at me. It doesn't take me 2 minutes in the morning to do my hair. So I should imagine. Isn't there a proverb, a fool and his hair are soon parted? Sparrowby. I say, you're beastly rude. I know I am. My mother was a Wurzelford, and the Wurzelfords have no manners. I'm sorry I called you a fool, though, because I want you to do something really kind for me. Trevor has suggested a game of bridge, and I don't want to back out of playing. The trouble is that I haven't a coin worth speaking about on me. If you'd be awfully pet lamb and lend me something, I dislike lending on principle. It generally leads to unpleasantness. Really, this worship of mammon is getting to be the curse of the age. People make more fuss about lending a few miserable guineas than the Sabine women did about being borrowed by the Romans. I know a lady of somewhat mature age who took a rather fancy to me last season, and in a fit of sheer absence of mind, she lent me £10. She's got quite a comfortable income, but I declare she thinks more on that lost tenner than the hundreds and hundreds that she's never lent me. It's become quite a monomania with her. It's our one subject of conversation whenever we meet. Sparrowby. Don't you intend on paying her back? Certainly not. Her loss makes her more beautiful. It brings an effective touch of tragedy into an otherwise empty life. I can no more think of her apart from her mourn for alone than one can think of Suez without the canal or Leda without the swan. Sparrowby. If that's your view about your obligations, I certainly shan't lend you anything. By the way, where is Sybil Beaumont? She's been sitting out about 4 dances with Trevor. It's about my turn now. Renee. Sybil has got a bad headache. She's lying down for a few minutes. Sparrowby. Where? I particularly want to see her. In the billiard room, and she particularly doesn't want to see anyone. But I only want... Enter Claire and Agatha, door right back. Renee. Agatha! Sparrowby is complaining that he's got no one to dance with. Agatha. Come along. They're just going to try that new Paris dance. I can't pronounce it, Sparrow, but I can't dance it. Agatha. Neither can I. Come on, but I say. Exit Agatha, dragging Sparrow off door right back. Renee. Whew. Thank goodness he's out of the way. People who make a principle of not lending money are social pests. Claire, seating herself on couch. This is going to be a dismal failure. By the way, have you seen Trevor anywhere? Renee. Yes, he's turned rather giddy with the dancing, I suppose, so he's taken a turn or two out in the air. Claire. Is he alone? Renee. Oh, quite. So am I for the moment. Do stay and talk to me. Claire. He must be interesting, then. After sitting out successfully with Sparrow and the two Drummond boys, I feel that there's nothing left in the way of dull and trivial conversation to listen to. While she is talking, Renee hands her half of the remaining peach and resumes his seat. Let's talk about ourselves. That's always interesting. Claire. I suppose you mean let's talk about yourself? No, I'd rather much dissect your character. I found some good points in it. Claire. Do tell me what they are. You have a rich aunt who is childless. She's a great aunt. All the better. That sort of thing doesn't spoil by being kept in the family for a generation or two. The greater the aunt, the greater the prospect. And what other good points do you find in me? I think I've nearly exhausted the list. I don't find you a bit interesting. Well, be patient for a moment. I'm going to say something quite personal and interesting. Will you marry me? The question is sudden, I admit, but these things are best done suddenly. I suppose it was the mention of your great aunt that suggested it. The answer is equally sudden. It's no. Are you quite sure you mean that? Convinced. How thoroughly sensible of you. So many girls in your place would have said yes. Claire. I dare say our sex hasn't much reputation for discrimination. I didn't know that marrying was in your line. It isn't. I dislike the idea of wives about a house. They accumulate dust. Besides, so few of the really nice women in my set could afford to marry me. Claire. From the point of view of reputation? Oh, I wasn't thinking of that. At 23, one is supposed to have conquered every earthly passion. Of course, it's the fashion in statesmanship nowadays to allow the conquered to have the upper hand. Claire. A convenient fashion that saves a lot of bother. Tell me, taking me apart from my great-aunt, are you pleased to consider that I should make a satisfactory wife? Satisfactory wives aren't made, they're invented. Chiefly by married men. But as things go, I think we should have made what is called a well-sorted couple. I should have taught you in time to be as thoroughly selfish as myself, and then each would have looked upon our own particular interests without having need to fear that the other was likely to suffer from any neglect. Claire. There is much to be said for that point of view. It's the imperfectly selfish souls that cause themselves and others so many heartburnings. People who make half-sacrifices for others always find that it's the unfinished half that's being looked at. Naturally, they come to regard themselves as unappreciated martyrs. By the way, I may as well tell you before you find out. Trevor isn't out of doors. He's sitting out with Sybil somewhere on the landing. Claire, half rising from seat. Beast! Why did you tell me he'd gone out? Well, the fact of the matter is, I thought that if the two were left alone undisturbed for half an hour or so, one or the other of them might propose. Oh. That's the game, is it? And has Sybil enlisted your services in this precious stalking movement? Oh dear no. I'm merely working in good cause. Someone's got to marry Trevor, you know, and the sooner the better. Personally, I don't think it's very hopeful, but the whole motive of this otherwise idiotic dance is to head Trevor into a matrimonial ambush of some sort. And he's so superbly sleepy that there's just a chance of it coming off. But I'm not sanguine. Claire. If he is to be rushed into marrying someone, I don't see why I shouldn't be in the running as well as anyone else. Exactly what William was saying to me this morning. William? The page boy? Yes. He's rather keen on seeing you Mrs. Trevor Bavvel. Claire. That's very sweet of him, but I didn't know he took such an intelligent interest in the matter. It's not altogether disinterested. It seems they've got a half-crown sweepstakes on the event in the servants' hall, and he happened to draw you, so naturally he's in a bit of a flutter on your behalf. I didn't know we were the centre of so much speculation. Oh, mercy on us, what would Hortensia say if she knew she was nurturing a living sweepstakes under her roof? And is William good enough to consider that I have a fair sporting chance of pulling it off? I fancy he's rather despondent. He said you didn't seem to try as hard as some of the others were doing. He puts your chair as near Trevor's as possible at prayers, but that's all he's able to do personally. The little devil! I believe that if the Volpe woman wasn't handicapped with a preliminary husband, she'd carry Trevor off against all competitors. She's just got the bounce that appeals to a lazy, slow-witted bachelor. Claire. There's something I particularly object to in that woman. She always talks to me with just a suspicion of a furtive sneer in her voice that I find extremely irritating. I don't know why Agatha inflicted her on us. Enter Agatha, right back. Agatha. What's that you're saying about me? Claire. Only wondering what induced you to cart Mrs. Volpe down here. Oh, come, she's not a bad soul, you know, taking her all round. Seats herself on couch. We are all of us as God made us. Renee. In Mrs. Volpe's case, some recognition is due to her maid as a collaborator. Agatha. You're all very ill-natured about her. Anyway, this dance was her idea. Claire. Yes, and a horror mess is going to land us all in. I daren't think of tomorrow. By the afternoon, the news will have spread over the greater part of Somersetshire that costume ball's been given at Briony in the temporary absence of Mrs. Bavvel. Agatha. I say, do you think she'll be very furious? If Hortensia is more intolerant on one question than any other, it's on the subject of what she calls mixed dancing. I remember a county fete at Crocombe where she vetoed the project of a maypole dance by children of 6 and 7 years old until absolutely assured that the sexes would dance apart. Some of the smaller children were rather ambiguously dressed and were too shy to tell us their names. And the curate and I had a long and delicate task in sorting the he's from the she's. One 4-year-old baffled our most patient researchers and finally had to dance by itself around a maypole of its own. Agatha. I'm beginning to get dreadfully frightened about tomorrow. Can't we water it down a bit and pretend that we had games and Sir Roger de Coverley and that sort of thing? Claire. We shall have to tone things down as much as possible. But Hortensia will hold an inquiry into the whole matter and drag the truth out by inches. She'll probably dismiss half the servants and have the morning room repapered. As for us, Renee. There's a very good up train at 3:15. Agatha. But I haven't made arrangements for going anywhere. It will be most inconvenient. Claire. On the morrow of an unsuccessful coup d'etat, one generally travels first and makes one's arrangements afterwards. A prolonged howl heard. Renee. The idiotic Drummond boy again. Enter Drummond, door right, back. Drummond. I say you make nice cheerful hosts, sitting there like a lot of moping owls. Do come and buck things up a bit. There are only 2 couples dancing. Renee, tragically. Yes, let us go and dance on the edge of our volcano. Agatha. Oh, don't. I feel quite creepy. It reminds me of that Duchess person's ball on the eve of Waterloo. Exit Drummond, Renee, Agatha, door right back. Claire remains seated. Enter Mrs. Volpe, centre. All alone, Miss Hennessy? By the way, where is that dear boy Trevor? I believe he's upstairs. I don't think he wishes to be disturbed. I suppose that means that you're waiting to catch him when he comes down? And that you don't want to be disturbed? Oh, please put that construction on if it amuses you. I shouldn't like to think that you weren't enjoying yourself. Oh, I'm enjoying myself right enough, Miss Hennessy. Watching some of the little by-plays that's going on. Seats herself. It is Miss Hennessy, isn't it? Claire. What do you mean? Oh, well, only that we've met before, you know. At least I've seen you before. Though you probably didn't see me. You were writing your name in the visitor's book at the Grand Anchor Hotel in Bristol, just about 6 weeks ago. Claire. I did stop there one night about 6 weeks ago. I don't remember seeing you there. Mrs. Volpe. I remember not only seeing you, but the names you wrote in the book. Hennessy wasn't one of them. Nor Miss anything either. Claire. Clever of you to remember. You seem to have a good head for business. Other people's business. Oh, well, I suppose it was the innocent vagueness of the names you had put down that arrested my attention. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, London. Your companion had gone upstairs with the luggage, so I didn't see Mr. Smith, and somehow at the end I had a feeling that I wasn't seeing Mrs. Smith. At least not the permanent Mrs. Smith. Claire. It sounds rather crude and compromising as you put it, I admit, but the explanation is not really very dreadful. Only, Mrs. Volpe, only you don't feel disposed to give an explanation at such short notice. You're quite right. Second thoughts are usually more convincing in such cases. Claire. Well, to be candid, I don't see that my travelling adventures are any particular concern of yours, Mrs. Volby. Perhaps you're right. I dare say they more immediately concern the lady whose guest you are. Shall I raise her curiosity on the subject? As you've got such a satisfactory explanation ready, you can have no objection, I suppose. Claire. You know Mrs. Bavvel well enough to know that what might seem a harmless escapade to ordinary judges would not be regarded so leniently by her. Mrs. Volby. And Mr. Trevor? He doesn't share his mother's prejudices. You won't mind if I let him into our little secret about the Smith menage? Claire, rising from her seat. Miss Volby, what particular gratification do you find in threatening to make mischief between me and my friends? It shows you up in a rather bad light, and I don't really see what you expect to gain by it. Mrs. Volby. Simply, my dear girl, we happen to be interested in the same man. Claire. You mean Trevor? Of course. I know perfectly well that all you girls are hanging round here for a chance at snapping him up, and I'm clever enough to see which one of you is likely to succeed. It won't be Sybil Beaumont, whatever one may say. Claire. In any case, you can scarcely regard yourself as a competitor, because of being already married, you mean? Well, I don't mind telling you I have more definite news about my husband's condition than I pretend to have. He was past all chance of recovery when the last mail went out. I'm too honest to pretend to be anything but glad. If you knew the life we've had. I've been a lonely woman since the day I married Peter. And now I don't intend being lonely anymore. As soon as I set eyes on Trevor Bavvel, I knew he was just the sort of man I wanted to begin life with over again. Claire. And do you suppose that you are so obviously his conception of the ideal lifetime mate that he'll throw himself at your feet as soon as he knows you are free to marry him? Mrs. Volby. Oh, my dear. Most things in life that are worth having have been worked for. I've made a good beginning by enlisting his sympathy as a fellow conspirator over this dance. The worse row we get into, over it the better. And when my husband's estate has been straightened out, I shan't be badly off, and I shall come to his neighbourhood and do a little hunting and give bridge parties and all that sort of thing. Provided nothing happens in the meantime, I fancy I stand a very fair chance of pulling it off. Claire. I see. Mrs. Volby. Ah, you do see, do you? You understand now why I want your flirtation with Trevor to be nipped in the bud, and why I'm prepared to nip it myself if necessary with that little story of the Grand Anchor Hotel. Claire. You're making one little miscalculation, Miss Volby. Trevor was a public school boy. And in English public school tradition, the spy and the talebearer don't occupy a very exalted position. Mrs. Volby. Oh, you may call me hard names, but you can't wriggle away from me in that fashion. I've got you in my grip. So, either you leave the field clear for me, or the story of your visit to the Grand Anchor Hotel with a gentleman whom, for want of fuller information, we will call Mr. Smith, becomes public property. Claire. Someone is coming downstairs. Shall we go and see how the dancing is going on? They're playing that Bulgarian march. Mrs. Volby. Oh yes, let's go and hear it. I love Slav music. It takes one out of oneself so. Claire. Which is sometimes an advantage. Exit Volby and Claire.